I am one of the biggest failures that you'll ever meet in your life. I might be the biggest failure that you know right now. And that sounds like really awful, negative self-talk, but it's actually not. And I'll tell you why. So when you start to waken up to what it is that you want, or what your heart's calling you to do, or your dharma, you have to start taking inspired action and going after these things. Well, that can be scary because now you have dreams that your heart's invested in, and all these horrible things can happen, and really the worst that can happen is failure. But there's nothing wrong with failure. Everyone who is successful, everyone that has had a dream come true has failed and failed and failed and failed. But you have to try in order to succeed. And if you fail so many times, eventually you will succeed. I've failed countless times. I'll show you an example. This yoga business plan prepared by Gladney. This was in 2011. This business plan was put together. There's a whole section, what's yoga? It's about 16 pages. There's a whole section, yoga in Minnesota and in Minneapolis. And there's some great market research here. I mean, a lot of info and time was put into this. And then here's the actual business plan. And this yoga studio was called Yoga Time / studio name because I didn't have a name for it yet. And I, spent so much time on this and presented this to potential investors, and I failed. There is not a Yoga Time in the Skyway of downtown Minneapolis, or a Yoga 45, I believe, was like the next plan after this. I wanted 45-minute classes connected to the Skyway for business professionals. Failure. Big failure. This is a 16-page application for Moksha Yoga Downtown Minneapolis application package. It's basically market research and the application, everything that I needed. I spent a couple years working on this. This was from the very end of 2012. This was a failure, kind of early 2013, middle 2013. This was a no-go. It wasn't going to happen. Both of those studios aren't here. Those are just two of the business plans and ideas I've had for opening a studio that have failed, but there have been so many more that have failed. And now that I'm here and I've done it, I've opened one, and we're getting to the place where we're successful. I've had that success after these failures, but I still have failures all the time. I'm an entrepreneur, and so I naturally have these ideas, and it's really I take inspired action and I follow the idea, and maybe I spend a lot of my own time working on it, and then I realize it just is going to fall through. I've recently had some ideas recently and reached out to some people that haven't called me back or haven't emailed me back. So who knows if they will or not. That might be a big failure. But I'm here to tell you that being a failure is not a bad thing, because you're reaching for something, you're trying for something. And I promise you that if you fail, things are not over. It does not mean that you're a failure. If you fail, it means that something better is on its way, whether that's a better idea or a better business partner or a whole nother better plan, or whether it's a partner or a house you wanted to buy. Failure means that you are that much closer to what's really meant for you. And I promise that goodness is on its way to you if you follow your heart and if you take inspired action. Everything is going to work out great. So please don't be afraid of failing. Namaste.